The Angels were the talk of the weekend. A terrible loss, 2 big wins, and a fan interaction gave us a lot to talk about. So it's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen every day. Like my friend Travis, we appreciate you. We're available on all platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and click that bell to be notified every time a new episode drops. And today's show is brought to you by the Ultimate Baseball GM. If you've ever dreamed about being an MLB GM and managing your own baseball franchise, then this game is for you. You can download the game. Just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com, or you can look it up in the App Store. And our listeners on Locked On Angels get a 100% free boost to their franchise when they use the promo code Locked On, all caps, in the game.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, aka the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
You and I have been fans of this team for years, Mike, so we've been through our share of ups and downs, and there was certainly a down on opening day, but then the rest of the weekend played out. Lots of things to be excited about. We're beginning our second season with you here at Locked On Angels, which we're very excited about. We didn't get a chance to do the opening series last year.
Nope.
So we came on a few weeks into the season. However, we're here now. We're very excited for year two. The Angels made a lot of news this weekend, Mike, for better and for worse. So let's start by taking you back to opening day.
Man, that was a full season over the weekend, wasn't it, John?
That's right.
It was like EKG, man. We were up and down and all around. Opening day was Thursday for the Halos. It was the 63rd opening day for the Angels, and their 9,800th regular season game in team history. That's 9,816 games to be specific. And going into Thursday's game, the Angels held the all-time record. Here's their all-time record: 4,885 wins against 4,927 losses and 3 ties. I wasn't alive when that happened. I wonder how you tie in a baseball. Manfred must have been in charge of that. And opening day for the Halos, the Angels before Thursday were 31-31, 19-17 at home, and 12-14 on the road all time. And this game on Thursday, John, was great, and it was frustrating. The great part was the unicorn, Shohei Ohtani, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 10 Ks, 93 pitches. Matt Birch tweeted out after the game that Shohei Ohtani is the 4th pitcher in Angels history to record 10-plus strikeouts on opening day. He joins the great Nolan Ryan, who did it twice in 73 and 75, Andy Messersmith, 11 strikeouts in 1970, and here it comes, Jared Weaver. Ding! In 2012. He struck out 10, and we love the weave. Ohtani did a very Ohtani thing in the 4th inning too, Johnny, with runners at second and third with 1 out. He strikes out the next 2 batters and hits 101 miles an hour on his fastball. Trout was asked about that afterwards, and he said Ohtani is great, and then he moved into mythical when he did that.
Yes.
Because he looked incredible. And I saw this stat, thought it was fantastic. He has allowed the lowest batting average with runners in scoring position, 152 batting average. So he has really stopped teams from getting hits when it matters.
Clutch,
and
baby.
Another little note, he used PitchCom on Thursday night, and he called his own game. And the amazing part was that he had it hidden under his jersey sleeve. And so he had to memorize where the buttons were so that he could pick the right pitch and know that he's throwing the right pitch, and O'Hoppe knew what pitch he was throwing. So, Johnny, it was an incredible outing from Shohei Ohtani, and I was impressed, but I've struggled to use new words to describe Shohei Ohtani because he just looked fantastic on opening day.
Mythical's a great word, but I think we're just going to have to start saying, like, he Ohtani'd that situation.
There you go.
Turn it into a verb. Mike, impressive stats, impressive outing from Shohei Ohtani and those Matt Birch stats that you tweeted. But here's the problem. They lost the game, and it wasn't Ohtani's fault. It was the bullpen. So Ohtani makes history yet again, and the Angels blow it, and everybody was up in arms on Friday morning after that game. Super frustrating.
Yeah.
And here's why. Aaron Loop turned into Aaron Poop on Thursday.
You texted me that and made me LOL.
The guy can pitch in the WBC and look phenomenal, and then he comes in to this game. Listen, after Jimmy Herget pitched the 7th, and he did a great job, did more Jimmy Herget things. Why do you go to Aaron Loop in the 8th inning of a 1-0 ball game?
Right.
I had so much hope that Phil Nevin was going to manage this bullpen differently. And to be fair, things looked a lot different in the next 2 games, but that was because we had a massive lead. But in such a close game, why don't you go to your brand spanking new lefty and Matt Moore, who had a career year last year? Why do you go from Aaron Loop to Ryan Tepera, the 2 guys that I trust the least in the situation? Why don't you go from Matt Moore to Carlos Estevez? You know, the guy you signed to possibly be your new closer this season. Why do you go to Aaron Loop and do that and have him cost the game? Afterwards, Aaron Loop was on the record as saying that he was pitching scared and like a little B word, which he said himself, which was kind of surprising, but at least he was being honest and upfront about it. Right. And also, you know, transparent about how he was pitching. He was not being aggressive in the zone, nibbling, things like that. He said it was probably the most embarrassing of my career. He said he felt his stuff was good and that it definitely won't be the case that he'll pitch scared moving forward. Why was he scared of the A's?
Yeah.
Listen, I know the A's have the tendency to get our goat. I know the A's are not as bad as some of the other teams in the league, but the A's are still in a transition year. They've got some great players who will be trouble for us, just like Matt Olson was, just like Matt Chapman was. Those guys who have gotten our GOAT, they had to start somewhere, and there are a lot of A's players who are starting somewhere, so to speak, and that's this team. But you don't pitch scared against the A's on opening day. And again, why is Aaron Loop and Ryan Tepera, why are those 2 the ones pitching when the game is close? Why did Herget only go in for the 7th inning? Why not use him in more high leverage situations? I just don't understand the logic there. But Mike, the most frustrating part about Thursday was about how the media made this about Ohtani and why he should leave. Right. Because everybody said, did you see Ohtani's look in the dugout and da-da-da-da-da? And don't get me wrong, as fans, clearly, we're very frustrated. But to see that all of the headlines on Thursday night were, well, the Angels are still bad, still doing things, and Ohtani's on this embarrassing team, and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, it's one game.
Right.
Guys. Right. It's one game. Yes, it did not go the way that it should have, but the Angels mustered up 1 run. It was 1 run of support for Shohei Ohtani in the first game of the season. I like what Torrid, frequent commenter on YouTube, had to say. The Angels were not going to go 13-0 against the A's this season.
Right. Yeah.
So point. You don't want to lose opening day, of course. And as we saw, you know, they turned it around this weekend, but unfortunately the Halos lose 2-1. It's the 9th opening day loss in 10 years. And that's just, that's pretty sad. However, it was a much different weekend, which we will get to. So coming up on Locked On Angels, we're going to talk about Saturday and Sunday's game, and Anthony Rendon had an interaction with a fan on Friday night, and we're asking if and how players should be able to push back when fans get obnoxious. We'll talk about that coming up.
Today's show is brought to you by the Ultimate Pro Baseball GM game. This game is one of the greatest games I've played in a really long time. It's a whole lot of fun. I thought maybe being a Major League GM would be easy. Turns out not so easy, John. I've been fired twice. So if you maybe are like me and you want to find out what it's like to be a GM of a baseball team, then you got to download the Pro Baseball GM game today. This game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of the franchise, playing through the season and leading your franchise and your fans to glory as you build a historic dynasty. In the simulation, you're responsible for hiring the right coaches and manage the staff, and you're going to manage the finances, scouting and drafting players. You can manage through difficult personalities and injuries. You're navigating your franchise through free agency and all of the ups and downs of the season. It's all in a really challenging and realistic game world. The Ultimate Pro Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline. You can play it on the go, wherever you want, whenever you want. And Locked On Angel listeners, you get a 100% free boost to your franchise when you use this promo code, Locked On, all caps, in the game store. Here's how you can download the game. Visit probaseballgm.com, or you can scan the code if you're watching on YouTube, or you can look it up in the App Store. That's probaseballgm.com. The ultimate pro baseball GM. Start your dynasty today.
We want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen today, and we're continuing our conversation about the opening series against the Oakland A's up at the Oakland Coliseum. And Saturday was a much different story, Mike. Thursday, the Angels could not get anything down. They hit the ball well. I will say that. I think
they did.
Mike Trout had like 3 hits over 100 miles an hour exit velocity. And like Asturi Ruiz caught that one that had like a 16% chance of being caught in center field. Would have been
a double. Yep.
So it was
maybe even a triple.
It was just one of those nights for the offense on Thursday. But that all changed on Saturday after going 0 for 6 with 4 Ks in the first 2 innings against Fujinami, who looked fantastic in those first 2 innings.
He did.
He had that splitter working. The Angels scored 11 runs in the 3rd inning. It ended up being a 13-1 victory on Saturday. Listen to this. Matt Birch said Saturday's Angels game was the first 11-run inning since July 2nd, 2016, in the 7th inning at Boston. I remember watching that game.
I do too. I was just going to say that.
CJ Cron was a huge part of that 11-run inning back then.
Still mashing.
Mike, Logan O'Hoppe. 2 RBIs in that game. He had the only RBI on Thursday night, the only run. Later on, he hit a 3-run home run on Sunday. The guy's a stud. Yeah. And just like we've been saying, like I started seeing the word get out there on social that, hey, is this guy like Buster Posey? And I went, that's what I've been saying. So I had to get that out there because I was like, that's a John take. I'm taking that one.
Yes.
I'm claiming that one.
Yeah.
Taylor Ward hits a 2-run home run, the first Angels home run of the season. 4 RBIs in the game. Ohtani has 2 hits with an RBI. Jake Lamb, who played first base, had
great.
a 2-run single in the 3rd. Gio Urshela, who looked really good at shortstop this weekend, Mike. Seems like a capable shortstop kind of guy. We had our doubts just because he hasn't played a lot of games there, but he really filled in well. He had 2 RBIs in that game. In 2022, the Angels had a 12-game stretch, where they scored 10 total runs for Patrick Sandoval. And this game, 13.
13! There's
Sandy,
a gift.
Sandy could leave the game knowing that his lead was sort of safe, right? Because it was a 13-run or 12-run differential. He had 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 strikeouts, and 86 pitches. And I really liked what happened next. Tucker Davidson, who is probably going to be the swing man and the number 6 starter when we need one, came in and pitched 4 innings, had 3 hits, 1 walk.
Looked great.
3 Ks on 41 pitches. Mike, if he's going to be the number 6 guy, he's got to stay fresh, right? He's got to be able to stay in shape. So that was a fantastic outing from Tucker Davidson to piggyback off of Sandy. They split the game fairly down the middle. 5 innings for Sandy, 4 innings for Tucker Davidson.
Yeah, and after the game, Phil Nevin said, like I said, I'm not worried about the offense. You go back and look at the tape from Thursday. We hit some balls hard. Things could have gone a different way. For us, first game of the season, things aren't usually how they're going to go for the rest of the year. And I loved watching this game. Johnny, I was internally upset. I was taking my Pepsid AC because from Thursday to Saturday, which I hated that we couldn't have a game the next day.
Longest drought of
because we
no
couldn't
baseball.
flush that and push it away, right? That's the great thing about baseball is you can be completely depressed one day and then you can be high and mighty the next. And so I hated waiting until Saturday, but it was great when they scored 11 runs in that inning, led by the one and only Taylor Ward, who I love that he suddenly was in AAA and then he's like, you know what? Kind of tired of this. And now he's becoming this almost like MVP candidate for us.
Yeah, no kidding. Mike, you mentioned last week that our goal was to take a look at the newbies on the team, and that includes Urshela and Renfroe and O'Hoppe, right? And Drury as well. And O'Hoppe's carrying the team and the offense. Drury was awful quiet this weekend.
He was.
Hunter Renfroe was also quiet. He did have that crazy no-look catch, right? Which is great content. It's great baseball. Like, it's fun to see.
Yeah.
But please never run a route like that,
That
ever
was
again,
terrible.
Hunter
Yeah.
Renfroe.
Yeah.
Now, I will say on Sunday, he kept Ramon Laureano from scoring at home plate because
Yeah.
Renfroe fired it in. So I trust him as a right fielder. Just a terrible route that
Yeah.
night when he made that no-look catch. So I'm waiting for Hunter Renfroe and Brandon Drury to get it going because they really need to. Those guys, we need them desperately. We've already seen what Trout, Ohtani, O'Hoppe, Ward, those guys can do. Gio Urshela looked fantastic. Some of these new guys need to come around and start contributing. It's 3 games in. Hopefully we see more of that as this season continues.
Sunday was great, Johnny, because we got to see Tyler Anderson officially for the Angels.
Yes.
We've seen him in spring, but now we get to see him officially in the regular season, and the Angels won 6-0, and he looked great. But let me talk about the offense for just a moment, and can I bring it back to Logan O'Hoppe?
Always.
He had his first major league home run. It was a 2-out, 3-run home run. John, he drove in 6 runs in this series.
Yes, he did.
We have not had an offensive threat at catcher since Benji Molina. Because I know that Chris Iannetta was around, but Chris always struck out and had a low batting average. Napoli, yeah, but he played first base, and then Jeff Mathis couldn't hit the side of a barn. And so he played defense. But I loved watching him at the plate. He looked super confident. And I love this stat. He has driven in at least 1 run in each of the Halos' first 3 games this year. And the last to do that was Trout in 2017. And before that, 2007, Johnny, Vlad Guerrero and the one and only Casey Kotchman did that. And so
Casey Kotchman,
how about that, huh? Hey, Casey was well on his way, and then we traded him away, and he fell apart when he went to Atlanta.
I'm just saying, like, it's been that long. We got to bring up Casey Kotchman.
Yeah. Let me blow the spider webs off of that. All right,
dust it off there.
Michael Nelson Trout hit his first home run, a 2-run home run, his 42nd career home run against the A's. It went 434 feet. He went 3 for 4 with a walk. Johnny, I know that he didn't get too many hits in the first couple of games, but he hasn't been striking out a lot. He actually looks pretty locked in, which I think is a really good sign. And then following that up, Shohei Ohtani hits a breaking pitch that
anything you can do,
right.
I can do better.
It looked like it was going to go off of his shoe tops, and he hits a home run. And this one goes further than Trout, 447 feet. So that was remarkable. Now here, let me talk about Tyler Anderson. This is why we got him. 6 innings, 4 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 93 pitches. Last year, John, he led all of Major League Baseball, the starters in Major League Baseball, with an average of 85 miles an hour average exit velocity.
Wow.
In this game, the first 9 batted balls against him were 71.8 miles an hour.
Soft contact, baby.
Yeah.
Charmin Soft.
Yes. And I loved what Gooby said.
Soft.
There you go. Gooby said, like, some of the dinky doos, like you say, that kind of fell in for the A's. That's going to happen with a guy like Tyler Anderson.
Sure.
But when you're getting that soft contact, you're going to get really easy ground balls. You're going to get a lot of double plays, which they turned on Sunday. So that was really remarkable. And I loved watching him pitch on Sunday. It was a whole lot of fun.
Everybody's concern was, without the shift, are we going to have some issues with Tyler Anderson? Are balls going to get through, the gap in the infield? And that didn't seem to be a problem.
Said, nope.
This weekend.
Yeah.
And Ohtani, on the other hand, took advantage of that. They showed a great graphic on the broadcast where positional players would have been against Ohtani in 2022, and 2 of Ohtani's hits would have been scooped up by the shift.
Yeah.
And he's taken advantage of the no shift rule this season, which is fantastic. And then Carlos Estevez finished the game with 3 Ks, and he got the first 2 fairly easily.
Right.
Then he struggled, and the pitch count started to get up there. And Wayne Randazzo, who, by the way, I love Wayne Randazzo.
He's fantastic.
As our new play-by-play guy. He said that the booth stank, and so they brought him some candles, him and Gooby some candles because of the colossal waste. I mean, the Coliseum. And they're going to keep the candle going. But Estevez, they made the point of saying, you don't want to get Estevez's pitch count up because he might not be available against the Mariners in the next day or so. So we'll see how that shakes out. The Angels are going up to Seattle, Seattle, LOL. They have Detmers going against George Kirby. Mike, George Kirby is a potential Cy Young candidate.
That's
truly
a really
believe
good pitching matchup right there.
It's a good matchup. Then we have Jose Suarez versus Luis Castillo. That's going to be an interesting matchup as well. So some intriguing pitching matchups against the 1-3 Mariners. Did I mention they were 1-3? They're 1-3 after this series. Thank you, Cleveland. Yes, the 1-3 Mariners are taking on the 2-1 Angels tonight and tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that series.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat and calories, then you got to try Built Bar. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. These bars are so delicious that you won't realize that they're actually good for you. And what makes them so good? They're covered in 100% real chocolate. They come in really great flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. My favorite is the cookie dough chunk puff. These bars taste like a candy bar while remaining healthy. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. If you want a Built Bar, go to Built.com right now. You can get all of the bars there. You can get a box of bars, whatever you're fancy, you can get it there. Or you can head to your nearest Walmart or Sam's Club, and they are selling Built Bars in the pharmacy section because they're healthy. They're good for you, so you can get them in the pharmacy section. Built Bars, Built Puffs, you got to try this.
Mike, this last segment of the day, no comment. I can't comment on that.
I can't talk about that.
Just kidding. It's about what happened regarding Anthony Rendon. He made some headlines after game 1 on Thursday night. As the players were exiting the field, he was on video grabbing an A's fan by the jersey as they were leaving for the clubhouse. A couple videos went out about the situation, posted to Twitter, and he said, "What did you call me? Yeah, I heard you," and confronted this fan. And it stirred up a lot of controversy.
Yep.
We tweeted about it at Locked On Angels on Twitter, just saying, probably should not let it get to that point where you're touching a fan. I don't think a player should touch a fan. But Mike, I don't know. I'm not mad about it. I don't know what to say. I just there's so many people who sit behind their keyboards and sit behind the stands and sit behind the walls. And here's the thing, when the Astros came to town and it was the first opportunity to boo them after the cheating scandal came out. Now, mind you, we didn't get to boo them at all in 2020.
Right.
We had to wait till 2021. I booed and I
lost your voice.
And I lost my voice. Mike, I never called anybody a name.
Yeah.
I didn't call anybody a B word. I didn't use any slurs or anything like that because I'm a grown man. I almost said a bad word there. I'm a grown man who doesn't do that. I understand that this is entertainment. These players are not zoo animals. You can't just say whatever the heck you want. In fact, we treat zoo animals better than we treat some of these players.
Yeah.
So you can't sit behind the stands and say whatever the heck you want and not think that the man behind the uniform is going to get a little bit heated. So sorry to jump the gun.
That's good.
I'm not mad about it. It's put drunk Kevin, the A's fan, in his place and let him know that that's not going to happen ever again.
Here's what I would say to you. I think there's 2 lines of thinking here. First, I love alpha dog Anthony Rendon. I love him. And I love that he is going to fight for his team. And I think that they're feeling the pressure of this season. Taking it back to Aaron Loop and saying that he pitched scared. I think a lot of that had to do with, holy crap, I got to hold this game for Shohei because he's got to get the win. I think that that's playing in their minds. And I think for Anthony Rendon, he's got a lot to prove, and he wants to really play well this year. He admitted this offseason that he has heard the chirping from Angel fans, and he knows that they're frustrated, and he wants to actually perform. Plus, his daughter just broke her arm, and he's talking about wanting to be healthy. He's talking about wanting to be somebody that is available to his family after he retires. So a lot is stirring in this guy. And I'm sure that this A's fan was obnoxious. I'm sure that he went off. And
you could see the video of him trying to get the goat of every Angel player.
Everybody that walked by, right? Yeah. Even David Fletcher. You're not going to get any rise out of David Fletcher, right? I mean, you get him in an interview and it's a 1-word interview with David Fletcher. But I really liked that he was fired up and he's going to protect his boys. And I don't think it was just about him. I think it was about the entire team because I'm sure that guy was chirping the entire time.
Right.
So that's one line of thinking. And as our buddy Cope said, I really liked that he did that. Here's the second line of thinking that we really have to be honest about. If a fan touched one of the players, the fan is banned from the stadium for life. And so that's where this crosses the line. I get that he's frustrated, and I am all about him addressing that fan. But when he grabbed him, That's the problem.
Right.
And I think he grabbed him because he didn't want the guy to run away.
Yeah.
But when you go onto the field, it's immediately, I believe, a felony. Like, you're in trouble, right? Did you see the guy wanting to propose to his girlfriend in LA?
He proposed.
He proposed, right? And then he gets trucked by the middle linebacker of the security
broke 3
team.
ribs doing his proposal. Man.
So I think that there is a lot of danger in fans coming onto the field and interacting with players. And I think the players have to always remember that. You can say whatever you need to say. And if you need to have a conversation, have security help, which, by the way, Oakland security did absolutely nothing. They stood there and watched. And then when they saw that it actually was getting pretty terrible, then somebody goes, "Oh, can you come over here?" And then it was over.
Dwayne?
Right. Exactly.
Come over, please.
Exactly. Right. And
I don't know why I picked Dwayne. I just thought that was the softest name I could think
of. Well, and the reality is that a lot of the ushers that are at these stadiums, and God bless the Angel Stadium ushers, but it's a lot of people who are in their retirement years. They're not going to be able to do anything about it if they wanted to do something about it.
You see security in the yellow uniforms come around too at Angel Stadium. So,
sure.
Mike, the other thing that we need to point out is Rendon. You got to stay on the field, dude. You can't do stuff that's going to get you a suspension.
Exactly.
You can't do stuff that's going to cost you 3 to 5 games, however this might be.
Can I just tell you that I loved the tweet that said, and it was anti-Angels, but I love the tweet that said, and Rendon, when he swung, he missed, so it was very on brand for the Angels. I did like that, so high five to that fan.
I had an issue with that whole swinging and miss thing. Because he's got a career 15% strikeout percentage, which is under the league average. So, but that's not.
Yeah, I know. You tweeted it out. You proved it.
I proved it. I proved it wrong. So listen, the whole thing on Saturday was that the media was surrounding Anthony Rendon. He couldn't comment on it.
Right.
They asked him 14 more times about the situation. I can't talk about it. You guys not understand that MLB is investigating. You can't give an inch of potential I did something wrong.
Well, somebody even said, can you at least admit that you did something wrong? No, I can't say anything.
Can't say anything.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating because I saw a lot of takes about Rendon from other teams, and I was like, you know what, Mr. Mariner fan, you'd be the first one to defend, Eugenio Suarez if he touched a fan.
Stinker.
It would be, the Angels are trash fans and da-da-da-da. So if the shoe was on the other foot, whatever team that you root for, you'd feel the same way about your player. So get out of here with your nonsense. I don't need to hear it from you.
Well, I think the point of this conversation is twofold. I love the fired up Anthony Rendon.
Sure.
And I want him to stay on the field. So bro, stay on the field.
Yeah.
Don't get yourself in a situation where you're going to be taken off the field. I think that if anything comes down, John, I think that it's a 1-game suspension if he's suspended at all. I don't think that he gets suspended. I could be wrong as of this recording. I just think that it would be appropriate to address him. I don't think that there needs to be some sort of consequence. I just think that there needs to be a conversation between maybe him and Manfred or whoever is in charge of all of this, because there was no physical violence. Luckily, there was no issue, right? There's no harm done to anybody, but I do think that if there is consequence, it is a 1-game suspension. And on the flip side, I think that players should have every right to be able to talk back. I just think that you have to be able to talk back through the security and the ushers, the people that are actually there to keep you safe and to keep the fans safe.
If you don't want your jersey grabbed, don't lean half of your body over the railing.
And his dad walked him over. His old dad walked him over, and he hey, calm down. What did you think was going to happen? Exactly. You were a big jerk. You're going to get him upset.
Exactly. Mike, I don't know what players need to do in this situation when it comes down to that. But I have to say, you don't want to put your hands on a fan, because that's never going to end up well.
That's the only thing that was done wrong here, was that he put his hands on the fan.
Right.
I think that he has every right to talk back. I mean, I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan, Kobe Bryant fan. I love when they would chirp back, and they chirped back through their play, and then they flexed on their play. So Anthony Rendon has to flex on his play and be able to let that tell the story, maybe more than him just kind of chirping back at the fans.
Can we also take into consideration the fact that this man has a 12, 13 year career, one of the most chill guys in the entire world, to the point where people complain that he's not competitive enough because he's so chill. What would drive a man who is like Anthony Rendon with that kind of reputation to be in that situation like that. So
yeah,
just a lot of angles to all of this. We hope that, as they say, it's business as usual, with feeling the pressure of the season. Maybe that had a lot to do with it, but we do hope that that's the case. Business as usual as they take on the 1-3 Mariners tonight up in Seattle. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. We're looking forward to that game, and we'll get the results, and we'll be back here on Locked On Angels to share that with you.
It's the third time you said 1-3 Mariners. I love it. I love it.
I did?
I love it.
1-3 Mariners?
Thanks for making Locked On Angels the 2-1. Locked On Angels, your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast. Our friends Matt and Dom are going to help you in your fantasy baseball and give you the best strategies to win your league. You can find their podcast anywhere you get podcasts and on YouTube, and they're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, be sure to give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're on YouTube, comment below. It really helps out the channel. It helps other Angel fans find Locked On Angels so that they can be part of what we got going here. We got a great community here. We'd love to have more fans, and you can help us out by commenting, liking, and subscribing, most of all. So please help us out with that. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Johnny, it's us against the world. That's my conclusion from this weekend. Looking at what the media has said and looking at what other fans have said, it's us against the world. That's how we're going to treat this season. And John and I are going to explain what we mean tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
I'll give you a tease. The media, everyone against the Angels. It's us against the world. You've created a monster out of me. So I am going to be the most obnoxious, ridiculous, hot take guy all season long.
So tune in and watch.
Yeah. Angel fans, you're going to love me. Everyone else, you're going to hate me, and I don't care.
Does Locked On give free therapy? I'm going to look that up while you're
all right,
end of
friends.
the season, we're going to need it.
Yeah, we're going to need it. Hey, friends, come back and join us tomorrow for more Locked On Angels. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.